Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. Say hello, Mike Jones.
Hello, Mike Jones. It's an old joke, but it's hard
It,
not to do that when
it,
you tell me to do that. So
it never gets old for Mike. That's right. Okay, so we know that every Thursday when the Board of County Commissioners here in Josephine County get together, that's where the real action takes place. This last meeting was dang near 2.5 hours long, and they'll come out of that meeting every week with items to take to the Wednesday weekly business session, at which point they'll act surprised. Oh, is that on the agenda? Well, how shall we vote? And they've already made up their mind about it. It's ceremonial. Oh, they insist, no, it's never ceremonial. It's always ceremonial. Anyway, so one of the reasons I wanted to do this show was that there were a lot of little stories, the kind of things that accumulate, especially from the Thursday administration workshop, where they're not big enough to do a little 3-minute story about that, but once you see a pattern developing and say, oh, I understand better how county government works. So what we've done a couple of times, going to do this time, is I'm going to introduce the stories to Mike, and they're in chronological order of how they were presented at the Thursday admin workshop. Workshop means nobody from the public can speak. Why don't they just call every meeting that, except for the 3 minutes at the end basker? And even then, they badger you when you ask them questions they don't like, or when you make statements. And you have to look straight at them. Even though they don't look at you, you can get penalized for not looking at them,
yes,
and they'll tell you to go sit down, right?
That's one of the stupidest things ever.
And the other stupid thing is you can't applaud, except you can applaud for government employees. You just can't applaud for regular citizens to show up. And then,
and you can applaud for them too.
Yes.
You just can't applaud for, like, I mean, if Joe Blow gets up and says something that's sounds good to people, they can't applaud.
You can't applaud. And they say the reason why is that they don't want you to boo. Okay, then make a rule against booing.
Yes.
So anyway, it doesn't make any sense, but that's where we live. That's where you live. Okay, so I'm going to start introducing these little tiny stories to you, and then Mike and you should be picking out what you think is the story of the day. There should be theme music. Okay, so the first thing that the commissioners considered is the fact that you may know that Josephine County provides a deputy for money to Cave Junction. Cave Junction pays the county to take somebody out of the sheriff's department and place them over in Cave Junction. Okay, all right. The only thing is that every year, it seems, they go about 5 or 6 months, and the county hasn't yet signed the contract. It's not Cave Junction that's dragging their feet. Every year, I think every year, the county, and so this was supposed to have been done in July because they have that July to July fiscal year. And now, right now it's February, and they have not yet signed the contract, and no reason not to. They just haven't gotten around to signing it.
That's stupid.
Okay, well, that's one. All right, the next story is AVISTA, the power people. Now, AVISTA needs a bit of right-of-way. They need the opportunity to put some power cables under the ground, and they want to go through part of the Fairgrounds.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. AVISTA is gas.
That's what I said. I just sounded like electric.
Oh, yes, okay.
Right.
Okay.
You got to listen more carefully, Mike.
Sorry, my mistake.
You're interrupting my narrative with facts. Okay, so AVISTA wants a bit of the right of way. Now, who owns that land? It's the county. Right.
That's right.
But the people who are using the fairgrounds have formed an organization that's not government and not quite outside of government. They pay rent, and we pay to to set up some of their facilities for them and make sure things are running right, but they're supposed to be gathering their own money. It's the fair people or the fairgrounds people, right?
Okay.
So when AVISTA is running these gas lines over through this area, and they wish to pay a certain amount up front and then a certain amount every year, who should get the money?
Well, I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's the county's land, so that money ought to go to the county.
Fairgrounds wants the money.
Well, I mean, isn't the fairgrounds the county?
No. Okay. The people running the fairgrounds, the fair board, the fairgrounds manager, they want the money. It's $20,000 and they want it. Thank you very much. We just want the money.
So they want it for the purpose of using as funds for whatever they're doing with the fair.
Yet another donation that we know nothing about. It happens all the time. Instead of giving it to them as part of economic development, it's going to create so many jobs, as you know. Instead of giving it to them as part of our program to help needy organizations, which they are, we're just going to give them this money just because.
Oh, so wait a minute. They said they want the money, and the commissioners are going along with that.
Yes.
I see.
So they'll come back for more money later for some other thing, but that's above board. That's where it's obvious to us. This is not below the table, because that sounds nefarious. It's pretty dang close to that, because did you know anything about this? Who does?
Well, the point of it is that that's county money. It ought to be going to the general fund and not to the fair board. What right does the fair board? Just because it's going through? Listen, if a gas line was going through the corp yard, does that mean that the corp yard gets to keep the money? Of course not.
There's your question. And the answer, okay, but look, here's an interesting sidelight to this. As soon as these guys from AVISTA showed up, boom, the fairgrounds manager is right there to talk to them. She helped negotiate part of what they were going to do. Why? Why is she involved? Why not the people who are managing lands for the county? Why her? Well, one, she was there and knew they were there, but nobody was told at the county as far as I can tell. So why did she do that? Because she knew the likelihood was that they'd end up with the money if they did the negotiation. Wait a minute. What do you mean they do the negotiation?
Hang on a minute then. Why are the commissioners sitting still for this? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, hang on a second here. You don't have any standing here. Go sit down over in the corner and let the big boys handle this.
I rent an apartment, okay? I'm a renter. And so if somebody comes by from AVISTA and they would want to go through the yard that's in front of my place, well, I would run out there, make a deal with AVISTA. No, not there. How about over here? Well, what about diagonally? Make the whole deal, then go to my landlord and tell him that AVISTA was here. I already made the deal with him, and I want that off of my rent. Thank you.
Yes.
Is there a difference?
No, not that I can see.
Hey, I negotiated the deal.
I just don't understand why that would be something that the commissioners would be okay with unless they spoke about it beforehand, and they just don't want to discuss the specifics about how they made this.
As far as I can tell, it was introduced by the nice lady that runs the fairgrounds. She's the interim manager, and she brought it to them, as far as I could tell. Simon Hare summed this up by saying, you know, we really should get together as a board and decide what our general policy is about this time and other ones that are something like this. You think that you need to do that there, Simon? I think that's a pretty good idea. Because
I'm surprised there's nothing already on the books, to be honest.
So does the same thing work for the parks and every other organization?
Right. Yeah. Good question.
Now probably what they're going to do is that AVISTA money is going to go into the general fund and then be earmarked immediately for the fair. Oh, that's so much better because you see, that's okay. It's very much like what happens with the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department have people who gather up things that are stolen or just sitting around somewhere, or they find them at a meth house or whatever, and they hold on to them. Then they make an honest effort to go find the owners. Thing is, in a less honest government, they wouldn't work so hard because they get to keep the money once it sells. If they don't find the owners, then they get to keep the money. Oh, no, 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 says the commissioners. That's not true. That money goes into the general fund, but it's earmarked for the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's totally different.
I'm pretty hip to how that works there. There's a lot of talk about asset forfeiture laws and things of that nature, and what happens. They can generally take your money. They can take whatever it is. They don't have to justify. It doesn't have to be adjudicated there that you had this money for illegal purposes. They'll just hold on to it, and maybe they'll get around to giving it back to you. Maybe they won't.
But here's the thing. If they grab up some stolen property, or what they think is stolen property, in a less honest government, how hard are they going to work to find the original owners if the original owners never show up, for which they get nothing,
right?
Not even a fee, and they get to sell that thing and keep the money?
Well, we were having a little discussion before the show began about how government is incentivized, and
wait, Mike, were we having a discussion in a quorum?
Yes, we were, but we can do that because we have no laws governing our conversations yet.
Oh, well, they're just not enforcing the laws. As Steve Rich used to say, don't worry about it. Nobody's enforcing that law.
But so basically, we were having this conversation, and if you look at funding in government and the way that government works, they're built to grow. They're incentivized to grow. They're incentivized to spend more money, not less, never less. So you're never going to have a department that spends less money. And we were discussing how you could do that. You could have a department where you talk to the head of the department and you say, listen, if you can do this with less people and you save money and you're still able to get the same job done, we'll still give you around the same amount of money, but you get to split it amongst less people. That would immediately incentivize some downsizing. You would see departments with 3 people in them that used to have 12.
They'd be working like crazy, but they'd be getting paid for that.
Right, exactly. And then after a while, you go, okay, well, you get that bonus, but the bonus has to be kind of tiered down, and then we're still going to keep you at this higher rate than what you had before, but we have to. The whole purpose of doing this is to save money and shrink the size of government.
Right.
So it's just like this thing that you're talking about here. Why?
All right, I'm going to go on to the next thing. All right.
Okay, please do.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about juvenile justice. It tugs at my heartstrings too.
Mm-hmm.
Little children, kittens and sunshine. They don't have anywhere to go. There's not a home for them to go back to. Now, what are you going to do with them? Or they've gotten into some trouble. Well, there's a reason they've gotten into some trouble. That may be the case. And so recently, you probably saw that somewhere in the media that Josephine County is going to contract for one bed with Jackson County. Okay, so it turns out that when they're looking for solutions to this kind of thing, there are solutions. It's not like they just take the kid that's gotten in trouble and just show them the door. They do have a place for them to go. Well, Wait a minute, there are solutions? Yes, there are solutions, but as they pointed out, it costs us more than it would have if we had had it here. Now, let me summarize that then for you. If you have a director and at least one secretary and at least one worker and then a physical place, it's going to cost less than if you contract for one bed elsewhere that has at least those three elements. Yeah. Okay, that makes some sense, but here's the question.
It does? Hang on a minute.
No,
that makes sense to you?
No. Here's what I'm saying. If we have a supervisor and a secretary and a worker and a place, and they have a supervisor, secretary.
And listen, I have my calculator out. I'm going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching when you're saying each of those elements.
We have a place. It's just not being used.
Right.
Now, if they have a supervisor, a secretary, and a worker and a place, they're not going to charge us exactly what it costs them. They're going to charge us a little bit more.
Okay.
Here's the question. How can we afford that little bit more? We're affording it. They said it's in the budget. Wait a minute. How can it be in the budget?
Well,
this budget's awfully flexible.
Listen. Here's what I know. I know they want to get that place back open so they can start expanding it again. That's the whole point of it. They can tell you all the sunny stories that you want to hear. But the bottom line is that they want their little thing running again, and they want to make it bigger and better and add on to it and get more grants and all kinds of stuff like that. It's the function. 'Tis the function.
Yeah, but here's my point, and I do understand yours. And there's a certain segment of Josephine County people who say government is only about growing and corruption. I understand that. There's another segment of Josephine County that says we need to have a heart, think about those children. I'm speaking to this segment over here for just a moment. They're underneath the Chicago Tribune. And to this segment over here, okay, we can afford this. We can afford this? Yes, we can farm the kids out to another community. Don't worry about the fact that they're not near their family. There's no family for them to go home to, okay? So these kids are going to be watched over in Jackson County, and we can afford this. According to the commissioners, according to Juvenile Justice, we can afford this. We can afford this? How can we afford it? We could save money if we did. Okay, but we can't afford this. It's within the budget? How the heck can this be within the budget? Remember, we're at bare bones. We can send the kids elsewhere and it's within the budget. Then, I don't know. Just do it that way then. Really?
Yeah, and you made a good point. In many cases, the family is the problem. So the fact that they're further from their families might actually end up being a good thing. I don't know. I realize that, there is good being done. There isn't any question about that. Some of these people are very motivated to do their jobs well, and I would not want to take that away from them for any reason. But there's a little fly in the ointment here, and that's your part of this little problem that we have in almost every government in the country, be it city, county, state, federal, whatever. And that is that we all like to have more employees so that we can be a manager and make more money. We all like to have a larger fiefdom to reign over. This is part of the problem with government, is that you almost need to have somebody running around checking them at every turn in order to keep them within certain boundaries.
Well, I personally like Jim Goodwin, the guy that runs that. I think he's a good guy. I personally think that his heart's in the right place. I don't think it's his fault that he's part of a system that is inherently something wrong with it in many cases, especially in our county where you know what our reputation is in the state as far as corruption goes. Somebody has to be number one. We're number one. I think that Jim Goodwin's a good guy. So I'm not going to blame that guy for doing his job and for having the welfare of the kids. He says that, and he seems sincere to me, and so I'm going to go with that. My big question is, before going on to the next subject, is how the heck can we afford this? But apparently we can. Well, what are we saving in PERS and stuff like that if we can afford this?
Oh, well, right. You know what? Listen, this is just another in the long list of things that we're not going to be able to afford. We're going to be bleeding out in the gutter. And oh, yeah, wait just a second. We can give you a raise. We can give you a raise.
It's in the budget. It's in the budget now.
Yeah.
I hear them say this every week. Oh, don't worry about that. We're hiring more people, but it's in the budget. How is this? We're going to come back to that. More people are being hired. More people are being hired. But just before we get there, to keep this in chronological order, the next thing that just recently was Larry Graves from the airport, came by and did indicate to us that that yes, as it turns out, this deal with the outfit that's supposed to be building drones and all this kind of stuff at the Ivy Airport, they came in here and it turned out that the main character with Manor Development was also the biggest, one of two biggest contributors to Simon Hare's campaign, which Simon Hare never mentioned when he voted on this. And we said, and Simon Hare says, it doesn't matter to me what they've done in the past. It doesn't matter to you what they've done in the past? Well, no, of course not. They're one of his biggest contributors. Why would it matter to Simon Hare? Okay, so, but Manor Devel.
Well, they must not be Christians because the Christians were responsible for the Inquisition and the Crusades and all of that stuff here recently.
Yeah.
So
and all of our economic woes are due to BadCounty.com. So okay, so. Manor Development made this solemn promise that they would pay a whole bunch of money for rental of this facility to Josephine County the first week of January. And now it's the well, we're going into the second week of February. Guess who hasn't paid a dime?
Shocking.
Now, the commissioners see, Manor Development, hello, Manor Development, they've not paid anything at all. Nothing. And so I think it's very interesting to note that the commissioners aren't talking about the economics of that, not at all. Absolutely nothing to do with, the money flow. No. They said again and again and again, this is a public relations problem.
But wait a minute. I thought that they were going to write off a great deal of their rent that they were supposed to pay because of improvements that they were making.
They haven't done any improvements.
Yeah, but they're probably in the planning stages. They're paying people to draw plans and talk about stuff.
Well, now just hold on there, Mike Jones. Why Manor Development, which is a real estate development company, they've got all kinds of plans. Why they're going to be the home for a major motion picture who's going to want to be in the facilities there at the IV Airport, because it's going to be a data center with multiple satellite hookups. They don't answer their telephones at their 3 international headquarters, but they can communicate with satellites anytime they want to, and drones, and there's going to be a major motion picture there. Why, just wait just a little bit longer, and maybe they'll pay their rent.
We know it's a shell company anyway.
Well, I don't know this, but what I do know is the commissioners don't consider it to be a money problem. They consider it to be a public relations problem for Manor Development and for the commissioners.
Okay.
Okay, next. The HR.
Okay,
director.
So let me see here. let me just make sure that I've got all this stuff straight here. We have the Cave Junction deputy. They're
haven't signed the contract.
Haven't signed the contract yet. AVISTA right of way battle. Well, is it a battle? I
No,
don't think it
no. Oh,
is a
they
battle.
gave
It's
up
just
that fight already.
the county is ceding their authority to the Fair Board.
Very, very similar
And
to
then
what
the
happened when the first explorers came to America, and they talked to some Native Americans that were there, and they sold that land to the explorers for a few beads. But it turns out, through some stories, that those Native Americans were visitors, and they just happened to be standing there when they came ashore, and they sold the land that they didn't own for the beads. Okay, I don't know if this is an apocryphal story or not, but it's the same
that's funny.
Mary just happened to be standing there when the guys come in. Hey, great, I'm going to negotiate with you and get to keep all the money. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Juvenile
Okay,
justice.
so then there's the juvenile justice thing, and the Manor is flaking on the rent. I say give them a 30-day notice.
Oh, brother. They're never going to do that because look at all the effort they went to convince us what a great deal this was.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, forget about the fact they never answer their phones at all three of their international headquarters. They're legit. You can take our word for it. We're a county government.
Okay.
All right. Now, so HR J.J. Schofield comes in, and just a little bit note to myself here. He came in and is simmer down now, Mike. Here it comes. He's suggesting to the county government that they need to hire more people.
Oh, sure.
Okay. By the way, they didn't mention a single word, not a single word, about Lisa Shipley. Okay.
And yeah, like I should be shocked about that. They closed the case on that on Wednesday.
Yeah, she's getting a raise, right? Okay. Now, okay, next one. I just think it's amazing. It's in the budget. Mike,
So
it's
wait
in the
a minute.
budget.
Okay, so JJ came in and said hire more people for what?
Oh, does it matter? It's in the budget.
Oh no, wait a minute. Is this just generically?
No,
we need to hire more people.
No, he's got specific things in mind. Departments come to him, and almost every week he comes in and says, this person needs to go up in salary, like he did with Lisa Shipley, even though she's cut back her hours.
Right.
She's open to the public 1 day a week, but they've increased her salary because she's doing such a heavy job here. And almost every week he comes in with, we got to give this person a raise. This is absolutely essential. I've looked at it, and they're not getting paid enough, and we need to hire another person over here because they're swamped. You know, we're bare bones, but don't worry about it, Mike. It's within the budget. Who the heck's writing up this budget? How is this possible?
Yeah, I want to see this budget.
Yeah.
And I want to, because it seems to get larger and larger every year. Now, how does it do that? How does it do that if we have less and less money all the time? We're going off the fiscal cliff. We're hanging by our fingernails.
That's what he said. That is what he said. Oh, yeah. Oh, but you can trust us because we're managing your money so well. Just the same way we did with that thing with the wheelchair ramps. We're managing your money well, as you can see from this example.
When I'm hanging by my fingernails, I'm eating top ramen, okay? I'm not hiring more people. I'm not adding a maid onto my house staff. I mean, this kind of stuff is not taking place when I'm hitting the wall.
Well, you need to ask yourself the same question that we did about the Dimmick Tower thing. Don't worry about the fact that it went over more than $100,000 over budget. That's within the budget. Now, wait a minute. What kind of budget allows a $100,000 surprise? So that means you overestimated the budget from the beginning. And now we can hire more people and give people raises because it's in the budget. What kind of budget have you written up that allows you to do this every week with no problem? Don't worry about it.
No, I mean, this should be enough for everybody watching this program that these people are in a different world than we are. Clearly, I can't live my life that way. They, apparently, this is not a problem. Hire more people? Sure. Give away revenue to the Fair Board? Sure, no problem.
We're not making this up. They say it every week. It's within the budget. This is an amazing budget.
Everything is awesome.
It's cool when you're part of a team.
Yeah, and what a great team to be on. The team that always has a way of absorbing your little pet project into their budget.
Okay, so you're going to love this next one. So,
okay, there's more. There's more.
Oh, yeah, from the first time, there's three more. From the first time that Simon Hare was a commissioner, he would always donate a portion of his salary to a local charity, his favorite local charity. And he's since come to the conclusion, since this favorite local charity of his, this is one of many charities, of course, in our area, we're nonprofit. I mean, we're non-commercial. We don't make any money. And he's donated part of his money, and he's come to the conclusion, since this nonprofit, since this this charity rents space from the county government, he said, I don't want my contribution going toward paying rent to the county of which I'm a commissioner. Well, that's crazy. Oh, really? And so in this particular case, it certainly won't set a precedent. It won't set a precedent. I want them to get free rent. There you go. Okay, let's give them free rent.
Oh, okay. Are they housed in a county building?
Yes.
Okay.
So
he wants them to get. You know what? And this is the funny thing. Is that this is one of my biggest beefs about national politicians too. This is one of my biggest beefs with George Bush, was that he decided there are certain things that we're going to give a bunch of money to, and I can't help think when government says that they're going to spend money that they're taking it first by force from me to then go do these great and wonderful things, which of course does not buy me a ticket into heaven. Okay, I have to do that by my own good works.
No, he gets one because
yes,
he gave it away to him. So here's the question. One, yes, it does set a precedent. What now? All charities get free rental from? Let's start a charity just so we can get free rental space from the county.
That would never happen.
Why not?
We're the wrong people.
Well, but it's Simon Hare's favorite charity. Why do they get a break when nobody else does? Because it's Simon Hare's favorite charity.
No, and this goes back to what I was saying. So I mean, who the hell is he to be, making these choices about who gets my money? Because I pay a lot of property taxes in this county. I don't want my money going to support his charities.
Oh, come on now. He wasn't in office more than just a short period of time before he convinced the county to rename a bridge after his grandmother. I mean, hey, rank has its privileges. Once I get in office, I'm going to want to rename bridges after every member of my family. Why not?
Yeah, you know what? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I talk about every day, every couple of days on this program. This is the corruption that goes all the way to the core of government. Now it's 7:33 right now, and you still got more to go here. And so I better shut up and let you tell me, or we'll be here all night.
Okay, well, this is very much like a newspaper story, if we had a newspaper in our town. Very much like a newspaper story is you get the most important ones at the top, and they get a little bit less as they go to the bottom. The county has confirmed that they are going to spend $50,000 with a single consultant who has a bunch of ideas about how to recruit high-tech workers into Josephine County. Why, you just give him $50,000, which is $1,000 a week. Mike, $1,000 a week, and he's going to What's the problem?
This is mind-boggling.
That's in the budget.
When does it end? When do you say no? When is it time not to spend some money? We're crying out loud, $50 grand. That is shooting money out of a cannon. What is the point?
But keep in mind also, I just find it ironic. We're high-tech workers. What we're doing right now is considered by some people to be high-tech, okay? Because it is the highest of technology from the 20th century, okay? What we're doing right now.
Right. But you know what? See, we don't count because we are tearing down economic development.
But now, if Cheryl Walker and Keith Heck are working full-time to denigrate us, right? And Keith Heck said, IT workers, hello, are little moles that sneak around and do lesser services. They're working full-time to make high-tech workers not want to move here. And this guy's going to be paid $50,000 to incentivize high-tech workers to work. He could use our videos and show them this. And
you know what? Listen, if you want to do that, why don't you pay the guy $50,000 after he's brought a bunch of people here? Then you pay him 50 grand. But this paying somebody 50 grand for the idea that he's going to help he doesn't have to do nothing. He can go home and sit with his feet up and drink coffee if he wants to. They're going to give him the 50 grand. He's going to give them nothing, and he's going to give us nothing, and they're going to thank him for it and give him a plaque at the end of the year.
Well, that's what they did with Lisa Shipley.
That's how we do it.
Okay, and it's very much like the Job Council, who started out with the idea that they were going to help people get jobs. But when they were asked again and again and again, how many people have you helped? And when they weren't able to answer that, their new job is training people and hoping that they're going to end up with a job eventually. This guy is going to put out a bunch of material, and they're going to say, what's your progress? Well, look, here's some brochures I sent out, and here's a conference that I went to, and here's a place where I went to this thing in Hawaii, and I talked with a couple of people, and that will be the progress. Jobs? Well, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to tell people there's an opportunity, and then I've done my entire job. There you go, $50,000. Well, thrown out the window. Anyway, last one, and this is not in order, but we've been having a lot of rain recently. Hey, it's Oregon. It used to rain here a lot, right? And so, so we get this emergency guy come in right toward the end of the meeting, and he says, I just wanted everybody to know, maybe you can tell everybody that a couple of the building places in town will have sandbags available. Ooh, good. And when people are in an emergency situation and they need these sandbags, now see, we're supposed to have these in the county also. Of course, the last time we asked them where are the sandbags, they didn't know where the sandbags were. Mike, they didn't know where the sandbags were. Okay? We got a bunch of them. We paid for them. They're filled full of sand, but we don't know where they are. All right? So, but you can go to whatever the names of these places are, it doesn't matter, and there's lots and lots of sandbags. And just as he's about to leave, Simon says to him, people will have to pay for those, won't they? Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, important note. If you want that sandbags, you'll have to pay for them. But please put out an
Did you see what we did for you? We told you where to go get your sandbags for a nominal fee. And we have some sandbags, but
we don't know where they are, and you paid for them, but we've lost them.
How do you lose sandbags? I mean, they don't get up and walk away.
People needed them and decided to reallocate their position.
Yeah, maybe. Wow.
Okay.
So now.
What's your favorite story?
Yes, I'm gonna have to get some what is it, the the trivia show. What the heck is that? It's the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Right.
Gonna have to get some Jeopardy music. Okay. Let's see here. You know what? I'd have to say, because this CV deputy thing, that's a Cape Junction deputy thing. That's a paperwork snafu. Okay. This AVISTA thing, we're talking about 20 grand there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Juvenile Justice thing, we don't know how much that ultimately is, but they're talking about it's in the budget to do this. I don't know what the impact
It's
is.
in the
Manor pays no rent.
Right.
Manor pays no rent. That has potential to be a big thing because it's likely they're not going to pay rent next month either.
I think there's
or this month.
Yeah, it's February already.
Okay, and then J.J. Schofield saying J.J. Schofield saying we need to hire more people.
Mm-hmm.
That is not it's not quantified.
Well, he was specific. I was trying to be fair. He was specific.
He was.
Certain places, but yeah, but I said that. You asked me at the time. It wasn't they just said we need more people in general. But the point is, he's coming in almost every week saying, well, we need more people. We need to raise salaries. But my point was not that he says we need more people, but that there's money to hire more people. Hey, there's no problem. There's money. It's in the budget.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Yeah, so I just want to know. I want to know more about that. So the manor pays no rent and we're hiring more people. Let's figure out how many new people we're hiring this entire year, and let's get that out front, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Simon Hare's charity. You know what? I mean, to me, that's something that deserves more scrutiny. Let them pay rent like everybody else does.
Well, this is about money going out. Money is going out, and
right.
both things about rent are about Simon Hare. Simon Hare's project with Manor, where they haven't paid the rent, and now he specifically wants to make it possible. All that Manor has to do is become a nonprofit, and then they won't have to pay any rent either, right? It's going to be a second favorite charity.
Right. So lest people get confused here, let me just clarify that. It is not for me to say, I have no ill will against whatever charity this is. I don't even know who it is.
Doesn't matter.
And if you are favorable toward this charity and you would like them to get some sort of a deal, why don't you go make a donation to them so that they can pay their rent every month to the county, which is us, and should not be getting any sort of dispensation from our commissioner, who is our employee, because we didn't authorize him to do that.
Well, he was very angry with Keith Heck, because Keith Heck has been involved with charities for a long time, and Keith Heck says, well, certainly, they've been paying their rent, haven't they? Oh, yes. Well, but that's part of their budget that they've set aside. It's within their budget. Yes, yes. So then why are we involved in this at all? If they've got the budget to pay the rent, let them pay the rent. Oh, Simon says, well, I don't want any of my donated money to them to go toward paying rent to the county. Really? Okay.
Well, good. Good. I'm glad that he listen. I'm happy that that Simon is taking his ample salary and donating some of that to a worthy cause. That's fantastic. And if you want to do the same thing, then head on. Make it. Listen, they just had a GoFundMe thing in the news where some guy who had been walking 20 miles a day back and forth to work, some guy set up a GoFundMe account to buy him a car. Well, people started pouring money into it. Pretty soon he's got over $300,000. The local Ford dealership gives him a brand new car. So now he has like $300,000 in a brand new car. Fantastic. You know why that's fantastic? Because everybody in that scenario did it willingly and with their own money. So if you want these people to get off on paying their rent, then go in and cut them a check to pay the rent for them. That's how you do that. And then the high-tech worker thing for 50 grand, that's a big deal too. 50 grand, that's a lot of money. What's the return on that 50 grand going to be? If I make a contract with somebody for 50 grand, they're getting a return, because there's no way they're hiring me if they're not getting a return. So I want to know what we're getting for our money.
All right, so pick your story, and then that'll be the end of this show.
Well, pick the story. You know what? See, I wanted to put some sort of a 50 grand. That sounded like, hey, that's the one right there because it's 50 grand. But a lot of these have the potential of being that and more. Like a manor pays no rent. I don't even know what that is. That's a lot of money, no question about it. Hiring more people, that's a big deal. You hire 5 people, at $30,000 a year. What's that? That's a lot of money. That's what that is.
You can see why I wanted to do this show, because these are maybe little things, but they add up, and you see this pattern, and you go, hey, wait a minute, where's this Fiscal Cliff thing? Where's the hanging by your fingernails? Keith Heck literally said that we were hanging by our fingernails. Apparently that was not true.
I think the story here is that all of these things on my list, the county has plenty of your money to spend. That's